Hi, I'm Angela. I'm with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, and I'm the host of We Are In This Together. It's our weekly or almost weekly program about staying safe and healthy during COVID-19. This week, I'm joined by James, who works with the IFRC in Bahamas as part of the Hurricane Dorian operation. James, say hi.
Hey, how are you? Good to see
Very
you.
good. Thanks so much for joining us. Before I get into what you do and your role and some of the stuff on recovery, one of the reasons we had James come and join us this week is because on Tuesday marked 1 year since Hurricane Dorian started its terrible 3-day journey through the Bahamas. So during that time, we saw huge storm surges, winds, rains. It was a Category 5 hurricane. And when all was said and done, 3 days later, we saw the displacement of thousands of people, especially from Abaco and the surrounding keys, as well as Grand Bahama. Families that lost their houses, lost their businesses, really were stuck. And a lot of them moved initially to Nassau. And the Red Cross was there supporting with emergency relief in those early hours. So there was financial assistance, blankets, jerry cans, hygiene kits, really those basic things you need when everything gets lost. This week has given us the opportunity to reflect back on some of those early days and the damage and the sadness and remember those who were lost and who lost everything in that storm. It's also given us the opportunity to reflect on the incredible work by Bahamas Red Cross volunteers and by our international Red Cross community who came together to really support those people in their recovery and in those early days where they started to show some resilience and the Bahamian people, started to get back to the way things were. And that's when James joined in the deployment. James, tell us a little bit about what your role is and what it was like when you came into the Hurricane Dorian operation.
Well, I'm the deputy operations manager here, so I'm really, I guess, overseeing the different programs or helping our delegates implement the different programs with Bahama Red Cross. I guess coming in at the tail end of the emergency, so after, as you said, a lot of distributions that happened with blankets and bedding and water and food and also financial assistance. Once that sort of emergency starts to sort of get to, I guess, move on to the next stage, is you're moving into recovery, where you're trying to help people sort of stand up on their own 2 feet and then kind of get back a little bit of semblance of normality. I think what my goal or my role with Federation has been really to help design the programs, start to work with Bahama Red Cross and also the beneficiaries to identify what was needed. We started to work on things such as house repairs, supporting livelihoods to be restarted with financial assistance and also with trainings and trying to get these small businesses back up and sort of back into some kind of income generation activities. Also just, I guess, really, as I said, working with the National Society, trying to build resilience with them and to support them to get back and support the people of Bahamas through their sort of normal processes, procedures, and activities that they usually work on.
And recovery is a very long process. I mean, as you were sort of saying there, we can talk a little bit more in depth about the programs, but this is not something that happens quickly. I mean, yes, the storm happens quickly, but the process of getting back to a sense of normal or getting back to a sense of complete self-sufficiency takes a really long time. Can you speak to what some of those programs look like, some of those things that we're doing to help people get back on their feet over that longer term?
Yeah, I mean, even after a year, the recovery process is ongoing, and it's not going to be finished after 1 year or even after 2 years. But some of the simple things that I guess we're trying to support people in is, as I mentioned, working with people to help repair their own homes. So we're not really legal. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the financial capacity or the resources to rebuild all the homes. But if we can work with beneficiaries to get those homes back to a little bit more of a safer, more habitable space for them live in while they recover further and while they look for jobs and look for work so that they can sort of build their own recovery, forward. It's really just trying to help people get that first step on the road to recovery. It's the same for our livelihood. When we're supporting people and supporting them to kind of restart their small business or what, trying to give them some kind of capacity to to basically get the ball moving on some kind of economic uh, capacity for themselves to sort of to manage themselves. Yeah, okay.
And I mean, so we have these programs going underway. They're up and running, and then we start to hear about COVID. And so, as much as COVID is a disease, it also has a lot of economic impacts, especially in a place like Bahamas, where tourism already been impacted because of Hurricane Dorian. Now we're seeing it further impacted because of COVID-19. Can you speak a little bit about what you were seeing when COVID-19 first sort of appeared or has been happening in Bahamas?
Obviously, just engaging with people, talking with people, meeting people, trying to carry out activities with people, it becomes very challenging. Traveling between the islands is very difficult with travel restrictions and limitations on what you can do. I think the good side, what I've seen is that we've been able to keep implementing and keep working with our programs, and we found ways to keep working with the community, especially in Abaco and Grand Bahama. But the challenge is now, with COVID, it's not just in these two sort of islands that were hit by the hurricane, but now you have the whole of Bahamas, which is being impacted in a big way financially. A lot of people here are employed through tourism. Tourism has pretty much stopped completely. With the cruise ship industry really not being running for the last 3-4 months now. So I mean, I think it's putting a lot of pressure on the government, on the general economy of the Bahamas, and it's going to. I mean, this is going to take a long time to recover, I think. But yeah, like I said, I think the good thing is that we have been able to keep working with the sort of beneficiaries on the islands that were impacted by the hurricane, and we've managed to find a way forward. And that's kind of one of the small things that's, as far as the economy is concerned, we've been able to keep pushing money into these economies, into these communities, helping people rebuild or repair their homes, and in some cases helping people move forward with some of their small business activities.
And I know it's been really great. You talk a lot about how you work alongside with Bahamas Red Cross and help you guys help each other with your programs and your program implementation. I know the Bahamas Red Cross has been doing some great work with their Meals on Wheels program. It's been expanding week over week to help as more and more people need that food support, need that sort of additional help at the end of the day, because as you were saying, the economy greatly impacted through it. And it's been cool to see too how COVID-19 has challenged even Red Cross to come up with new ways of reaching people. My understanding is there was an online portal for these small businesses to sign up for programs through our livelihood program. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this COVID situation has created. Well, we've had to be creative in how we keep activities going forward. So, with the Small Business Grants Program in Grand Bahama, working with the Port Authority and with Bahama Red Cross, we were able to develop a portal where people could then, get online, provide all their information online, and then that information was sort of analysed and assessed, and then people were selected through that sort of process. So we're able to do everything remotely, contact people remotely. Money could be transferred, via bank transfer. So pretty much everything could be done remotely. There are still things where we have to go and visit the businesses. We have to go and see, we do have to go in person and see some things and check and make sure these sort of checks and balances take place. But we've been able to, I guess, find ways to turn a lot of this into a remote sort of exercise where we could keep going forward with activities without having to sort of stop everything while this COVID situation and social distancing procedures were put in place.
That's great. And I know when we do go out, our safety for our volunteers is, the number one priority. And so I know they're like in many of the Caribbean nations and many countries around the world, encouraging the maintaining 6 feet even when we're doing our work. Everyone's wearing masks and washing their hands often. Everyone's practicing cough and sneeze hygiene, which is so important to stopping the spread of COVID-19, even while we're continuing our work. James, I really appreciate you taking the time to touch base with us today. It's great to hear that the work's going on, and thank you for taking time out of this week in particular to sort of mark that 1 year since Hurricane Dorian and bring us up to date on what's happening with that recovery even during COVID. We really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to all of you watching, thanks so much. As always, we want to hear from you. You can put comments in our comment box below or tweet at us. Any questions you have that you might want clarified or questions about what you're hearing about COVID-19, we want to hear it all. We'll include you. We'll get back to you. And remember, we're all in this together. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.